All right, I'm going to introduce the fourth assignment to you. It's the multi-page responsive blocks website, and basically this is one where first of all, you're going to do a demonstration tutorial to kind of get a foundation that you can work with. You can deviate later from that demo. The demo specifically itself is not part of the assignment, but it does have to have certain kinds of framework information. And one of the things that you're going to find is that we're going to be building something that's based off of a grid. We're going to be learning how to use floats, and we're also going to be learning how to use media queries and some drawing tools to start beginning to think about how to make wireframes for different device dimensions and different screen sizes. Okay, so the first thing that you're going to be required to do is do this lecture if you haven't already done it. It's an introduction to responsive web design. Okay, and then secondly, you're going to go ahead and go through this entire tutorial. And let's open this in a new window so you can see it. And this tutorial is going to be a many-part video series where you're going to walk through and be able to create something that by the time you're done with it will be a full-blown grid system that is a multi-page layout and with lots of different classes and stylings and so forth, okay? All right, and so you'll have to walk through this demo to get through the entire thing, and you're going to have a really basic looking framework that's going to look something like what's in the video, okay? And then from that point, let's look back at the assignment again. All right, so it says here, based on the video lessons, you're going to create a small website with 5 pages utilizing a variety of configurations within the demo. All right, and so when you're creating each layout, think of the type of content that you would ideally have in the desired sections. Now, that's going to be easy because I'm providing the content for you. All right, so here's the basic requirement information that I'm providing with content. All right, so you will be given logo graphics to use, so you don't have to create your own logo because that's a tall order. If you want to, if you have the time, then that's okay, but I don't want you to get bogged down in that. So I've provided some logo graphics I'll show you in just a moment. I also have provided minimum copy for each page. All the copy is required. Now I will be flexible though about how you decide to put the copy inside of all the pages. And you'll see from some examples that I show you that different people chose to reorganize the copy in different ways. And that's okay as long as you use all the copy, because let's pretend for a moment that I am your boss. You're working for a creative agency, because this is going to be the website for a creative agency. I'm your boss and you are the web designer and I'm giving you all this content, and you have to create something that is based on our needs. Okay, so I'm your client, I'm your boss who is your client basically. And I'm also providing portfolio images. They're, you know, pretend projects, but they're portfolio pieces so that you don't have to go and find images or make up your own. And then I'm also providing images of team members, because that's going to go like on an About Us page or some sort of page that has employee information. Okay, so here are the resources. You can download the zipped folder right here, and it's going to have everything that you need, and it'll go right to your computer. An alternative thing that you can do is you can go to this link right here, and it'll open up a new tab, and where it says copy, if you just needed to grab a single file for some reason, you don't want to download the whole thing, you can grab one of these rich text format files. It has all the copy information, and then the images also are segmented into branding, portfolio, site screenshots, and team member images. And so you could, like, you know, look inside of here and go, okay, well, I need a picture of Daniel, and you could save that if you wanted. All right, but let's actually look at the let's look at the content that we have that I had already downloaded from that zipped file. So if you go here and you look at copy, let's just go ahead and open all of these things up. And okay, so what we've got here is we have some different pages. Now, first thing I want to make sure that you understand is that you do not have to use this formatting. In fact, I want you to come up with your own formatting. Oh, this is supposed to say newsletters. All right, so make sure that if there are any misspellings in there, try to catch them, please. And that's the nice thing about opening this content up in some sort of editor, either Word or, like TextEdit or something like that. And then that way it should find any misspellings for you. But as I said before, you don't need to use these bulleted lists, but you know, you can. These are just to give you some idea of the way that maybe a client would provide stuff for you, and they might say, okay, well, what kind of things do we do? Well, we do graphic design, we do marketing strategies, we do web design, and they might list some things and have a little blurb or whatever. All of this stuff is stuff that would have to be on the website, okay? Whether you choose to put all of that in a page called services or not, that's up to you. All right. These are just to give you some general guidelines or ideas of how you could organize the content. Under current work, it's like a portfolio. You can call it whatever you want, and we'll talk a little bit about how branding can also be thought of in terms of the way that you choose to label your navigation as well. So, whether you call it portfolio, current work, that kind of thing, then that's up to you also. All right, so current work. This all has to be somehow accompanying the work. All right, so you would say who the client was for this job, a short description, and what standards, what web standards were, what it conformed to. Okay, and then there's a contact information page. Now, these are just some notes here. So we have an email form. You can put a dummy form in there. You do not have to. You don't have to use a real form if you don't want to. And the thing is if you don't want to use a form at all, you can put just an email, phone number, and make the stuff up. Of course, don't put your real information on there. You can just put that, but if you want to try to use some sort of form, you can do that. Just realize that forms in this class generally are just not going to do anything because they require dynamic scripting behind them in order for them to actually be actionable. So if you do put a form on there, just realize that it's going to be something that doesn't really function. And the physical address has to be on there. Okay, it's some fake made up place. Phone number, email, and then an embedded Google interactive map. If you have time, you can use a true interactive Google map. If not, then you should at least take a screenshot of a Google map and use the screenshot like as a PNG or as a JPEG as a placeholder. Okay? All right, now there's the about us. You can call that about us. You could call it who we are. You can call it whatever you want. Again, we're going to talk about navigation as branding and like what that means. So this is the team. You can call it our team or meet our team or whatever you want to call it. You don't even have to necessarily put a heading there if it doesn't make sense to you in your format. And then this is the process that they go through on projects. This is like a little blurb about them, okay? So this gives you some ideas. And you don't have to use these exact heading choices, but again, that might make it easier for some folks. Okay, so on the home page, this is not absolute. You don't have to necessarily do this. This is just an idea. As me, your client, I have some thoughts about what might be cool. And so I'm thinking, maybe if we had the home page could possibly be something that looked different than the other pages, but it doesn't have to. It could be part of the same templating system. And we'd have like maybe a full screen graphic with a logo, maybe not, maybe there'd be a background image, I don't know. Maybe we'd have a pull quote that has like a little snippet from something that we would say about ourselves and gives you an idea right off the bat who we are. And then, maybe we'd have some call to action buttons that would, even though maybe we have these clickable links somewhere else in the navigation, maybe we want to try to direct people specifically to learn more about us or to see our current work or whatever. Okay, so these are the pieces of content that you would have that you have to use on this website. So that means it's going to be multiple pages. Okay. All right. So that's uh, the copy. And then you're also provided with a lot of different images here. So you've got branding images. So you're provided with JPEGs. You're also provided with PNGs that have transparency. You're also provided with SVGs, scalable vector graphics. We haven't really talked too much about that yet, but basically they will work in an image tag, an IMG tag, just fine, like a regular picture, even though they're not regular pictures. Um, and they'll scale with complete crispness. So if you were to look at this, for instance, you know, this image will scale perfectly without losing any kind of quality on the lines because it's a scalable vector graphic. Here's another example of how you could choose to represent the logo. Different color palette, right? Here's another choice. Right, so I give you some different options here, and I give you different sizes that you can use. This is a 600 PNG. All right, so these are some different size options. Okay, and then also I give you, if you know Illustrator, I'm not really going to teach that so much in this class, but if you know Illustrator, I also give you the original source working file so that if you decide that you want to go and make some kind of other headings or something based off of this style, you can do so, okay? And here are the portfolio site screenshots. So this would be, you know, the sample projects that you're going to use as images in your portfolio, okay? And then these are the images of the employees or the team members, and they have the names attached to them, okay? All right, so those are the resources that you've been provided. That doesn't mean that these are the only resources that you'll use. You're also going to have to go find your own texture images, other kinds of images that you might want to use. You're going to need to figure that out too. You can always go to unsplash.com or any variety morgue file, any place that you can get free images. Okay, so things that you'll have to add, all right? You have to develop your own color scheme. You probably are going to want to make it based in some way off of the logo colors. If you decide that you're not comfortable using that logo, you want a different style, you can create your own logo. It's really rare that people want to do that because creating a logo is very time consuming. So just think about that. You can sample from the logos that exist, though, so that you can start to come up with your own color scheme. You'll have to deal with some sort of header or background image artwork, and that could also be textural. Global navigation bar. You need to, excuse me, create the company logo and copyright in the footer. Other footer information in the columns, you could put things like quotes, links, mock social media, buttons, etc. That's going to be your choice. And then you also have to make sure that you always identify what page we're on. So we haven't talked too much about some of this stuff, and we're going to address that in this particular assignment about page ID versus site ID and navigation and so forth. Okay, and so if you look here, there's some other requirements. I'm going to let you read all of that stuff, but most of these things are things that I'm going to walk you through in the tutorial if you're doing the demo tutorial. So a lot of that stuff will already be in place, but you know, you should really consider modifying a lot of it. All right, and so forth. I want to scroll down. Now, down here are some example student site work from other semesters, and so I give a short brief description as to why different ones are good. So let's just take a quick look. Let's go over here and let's just start with this one.